You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 30th day of September, 2024. Last day of the month. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. You know that, right? Kindergarten? All right. Last day of the month. Thanks so much for joining us today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. This is our second live broadcast of the day. We do 2 every trading day. First live broadcast, that's private. That's for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, go to mytradingiq.com. At the top of the page, there's a link, 5-day free trial, no credit card required, purple button. Just click that button, fill out the registration form, hit submit, and you're done. We will then get your desktop set up, get your indicators indicating, and then your trial will actually start tomorrow. Now you might think, gee, if I do that, I'm getting gypped out of a day. Not true. You get 5 consecutive trading days on the trial, even if it stretches over a weekend or a holiday. So don't worry about that part. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we ran a little late today, but we take a 30-minute break, come back at 12 noon Eastern for this broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast. Live. Best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com and scroll down the page to where you see noon broadcast. Click that link, fill out that 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it'll automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you have access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, can't join live, but want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is very easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. You already know the YouTube part, so really all you have to remember is CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,600 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to the world of CFRN, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Not just today, not just this week, but thanks to the power of YouTube, you can see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, the more recent episodes are going to be more relevant to what's happening in the world right now, what's going on in the markets right now. But it's a great opportunity to, again, see how we've evolved over the years. Now, we first broke the airwaves back in 2005. They don't go back quite that far, but I think you can go back as far as 8 years. So, lots of teachable moments there. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all. Nobody could. Just pick some days at random. Watch as much as you want to watch. It's like when you walk into a library. There's rows and rows and rows of books. You're not going to read them all. But pick some. You never know what you're going to find. youtube.com/CFRN. Okay, our daily schedule for the afternoon broadcast. We start with our devotional, word of prayer, some news, both global and market, then a recap of the alerts. About 50 minutes into the broadcast, Michael will join us, give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll go live on the TradingView platform and do some live trading for about 30 minutes. Then we'll wrap everything up with our good word for the day. So we're beginning a new devotional topic. Last week, we spent the week on the Sermon on the Mount, Blueprint for Life. This week, we're going to talk about divine direction. Today's scripture is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 16 through 20, and I'm going to share with you from the Message translation. Starting in verse 16, because of this decision, we don't evaluate people by what they have or how they look. We looked at the Messiah that way once and got it all wrong, as you know. We certainly don't look at him that way anymore. Now we look inside, and what we see is that anyone united with the Messiah gets a fresh start, is created new. The old life is gone. A new life emerges. Look at it. All this comes from the God who settled the relationship between us and him, and then called us to settle our relationships with each other. God put the world square with himself through the Messiah, giving the world a fresh start by offering forgiveness of sins. God has given us the task of telling everyone what he is doing. We're Christ's representatives. God uses us to persuade men and women to drop their differences and enter into God's work of making things right between them. We're speaking for Christ himself now. Become friends with God. He's already a friend with you. So, let's start this devotion. Every day, we make choices that shape our life story. What would your life look like if you let godly principles guide those choices? Over the next week, we'll begin to explore 7 principles that will help you find God's wisdom for your daily decisions. If someone asked you to tell your life story, what would you say? You might start with where you were born and how you were raised. You might mention your first love. Maybe you'd talk about the big move your family made or when you left for college. If you're married, you might describe how you met your spouse. If you're not married, you might describe why. If you're a parent, you might scroll through some photos on your phone and show off your family. Or maybe you describe your career path. What's in your story? Most of us have chapters we'd rather not share with anyone. Maybe you've ended up somewhere you never wanted to be. You didn't mean to blow it, but you did. You made decisions that took you farther than you ever intended to go. You did some things that cost you more than you ever thought you'd have to pay. You hurt people. You compromised your values. You broke promises. You did things you feel like you can't undo. Good news. Your story is not over. It's not too late to change the story you'll tell one day. It's not too late to change the story. Regardless of what you've done or haven't done, your future is unwritten. You have more victories to win, more friends to meet, more of a difference to make, more of God's goodness to experience. Whether or not you like the plot so far, with God's help, you can transform your story into one that you're proud to share. Here's one way to change your story. Start something new. No matter how uncertain, afraid, or stuck you may feel right now, your story continues today. What will you start today? Praying daily with your spouse? Reading the Bible? Going to counseling to deal with an unresolved issue? Living with greater generosity? Serving at your church or in your community? Now is a good time to just jot it down. Open your notes and record your thoughts. Don't overthink it, but do take a moment to get it on paper. Just a sentence or two. Ask yourself, what do I need to start doing to move in the direction of the life story I want to tell? Remember, whatever story you have now, and whatever story you'll have a year from now, you wrote it. Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, as we reflect on 2 Corinthians, we thank you for reconciling us to yourself through Christ. Help us to no longer view anyone from a worldly perspective, but to see each person as a new creation in Christ. Empower us to be ambassadors of your love and peace, carrying the message of reconciliation wherever we go. Father, we also lift up America as the presidential elections draw near. Guide our nation with wisdom, truth, and integrity. Help us to seek unity and justice. And may your will be done in this election. Bring peace to our hearts and lead us to act as true representatives of your kingdom. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. We did something exciting. All right. We're going to start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow is up 104 points. The NASDAQ is up 33. S&P 500 is up 5. The Russell 2000, our man in the street, is only up 1.25 points. So, you think the rest of the markets are going to follow the Dow? Sort of feels like that, but we'll know by the end of the session. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 67 cents, trading 68.85 last. That's a gain of 1%, or $680 per contract traded. Gold down $12.20, trading 26.55.90 last. Silver down 34 cents, trading 31.47 last. That's a drop of just over 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei dropped. Whoa! Now the Nikkei had some huge days last week, but this may be the biggest down day for the Nikkei I've ever seen. The Nikkei fell 1,910 points. That is just a whisker away from 5% to the downside in one trading session. On the other hand, the Shanghai rose 248 points. That's over 8%. That is huge for the Shanghai. And the Hang Seng added 501 points, 2.5%. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 83, 1%. The DAX down 148. The CAC down 156. And for the CAC, that's a drop of 2%. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And so far, it is a mixed Radio Monday here in the US of A. Let's take a look at some of the news. We'll go global first and then go to the markets. Hurricane Helene has left a trail of devastation since making landfall last week, killing over 100 people across Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and even Virginia. Dozens of people remain unaccounted for. More than 4 million people have experienced power outages. In the live training room this morning, Michael showed us some pictures of the devastation where he's at in North Carolina. He showed us the area where he docks his boat, and the devastation's just incredible. A leading danger has come from floods and mudslides. In Tennessee, a bridge collapsed and a dam narrowly avoided failure. In North Carolina, entire towns and cities were cut off, with Asheville, population 94,000, largely isolated for days, requiring emergency supplies to be airlifted in. Atlanta witnessed the heaviest downfall, of rain in a 48-hour period in its history. Dozens of people across multiple states have been rescued by helicopter. Part of the impact can be explained by the storm's relatively large width. As Helene was downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone, the system continues to cause storm surges and historic floodwaters. In other parts of the world, an Israeli airstrike killed Hezbollah's longtime leader, Hassan Nasrallah, over the weekend. The strike involved 80 tons of bunker buster bombs, killing Nasrallah at a meeting of senior leaders below residential buildings south of the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Now, that's evil. I'm not talking about the airstrike, but that these high-level officials would choose to hold their meeting below residential buildings. Human shields. Nothing new, but certainly not anything we would ever do here in America. Well, we could have a new incoming administration, so God only knows what they might do. Let's just say it's never been done. How about that? The 64-year-old Nasrallah helmed the group designated a terrorist organization by the U.S. for more than 30 years. During that time, he was seen as a spiritual leader for Hezbollah's supporters. The spiritual leader used human shields. Unbelievable. This is like worse than Old Testament stuff. The group led the 2006 war against Israel and has carried out ongoing strikes across the Lebanon-Israel border since October 8, a show of support for Hamas following its October 7 attacks and amid Israel's war in Gaza. Israel has significantly expanded attacks across the region, killing other top Hezbollah commanders over the past week. It has also struck Iran-backed Houthi rebels yesterday, its second such strike in Yemen. Wow. Well, when we pray for the world. Whether we agree with people or not. In fact, it's right in the scripture. Love your enemy. Easier said than done, but you got to learn how to do it. A lot of people are saying, I can eat sugar now. What? We've all heard sugar is the greatest poison on the planet, right? More addictive than heroin. A stem cell treatment has reversed a 25-year-old woman's type 1 diabetes. The case marks the first in which a patient with type 1 was treated using cells from her own body. Researchers at Beijing's Peking University extracted patient cells and reverted them to their pluripotent state. They then developed these cells into the insulin-producing isolate cells responsible for turning glucose into energy, a process attacked by the body when a person has type 1 diabetes. The team tested the cells in mice and primates for safety. Then, June of last year, they re-injected 1.5 million cells into the patient's abdomen. 2.5 months later, the patient was producing enough insulin on her own to forego other treatments. Roughly 500 million people, including 38.4 million Americans live with a form of diabetes, representing roughly 10% of the global adult population. Huh. If I were you, I still wouldn't eat sugar. All right, let's go to the markets. What do we got? Stocks drifted higher over the past week, with the S&P 500 notching several record closes as investors digested more signs of cooling inflation and amid resilient economic growth data. For the week, the S&P 500 and the Dow were up about 0.7%. Meanwhile, the NASDAQ composite popped nearly 1%. In the week ahead, a September jobs report is expected to provide further clues on how quickly the labor market is cooling. Updates on job openings, activity in the services and manufacturing sectors, and consumer confidence are also on the calendar. So we've got a series of high-impact news events this week. On a company level, a deliveries update from Tesla and quarterly results from Nike will be in focus. The most recent reading of the Fed's preferred inflation gauge showed price increases continued to cool toward the Fed's 2% goal, putting further focus on the Fed's other mandate, maximum employment. Now, that's kind of tough when all of a sudden, over the course of the last 3.5 years, we've added roughly 20 million people to our population. Yes, crossings are down a bit at the border because they're just flying them in. Who'd have thought? That's one way to play with the numbers. So the job report that we get this week, true or not, will have a huge effect on the markets. Best advice, be flat. A mistake by the U.S. Central Bank in setting interest rates during the last phase of its inflation battle is the main risk that could undercut the economy over the next year, according to a new survey of economists released as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is set to speak today. I think he's already spoke. Among 32 professional forecasters, yeah, like the 51 intelligence officials who said that that laptop was Russian disinformation, those kind of professionals. Surveyed recently by the National Association for Business Economics, cited a monetary policy mistake as the greatest downside risk to the U.S. economy over the next 12 months. By contrast, 23% regarded the outcome of the November 5 U.S. presidential election as the biggest downside risk, and the same number cited an intensification of the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. Just remember, folks, depending upon how this thing goes in November, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, whatever your age group is, they could be shipped off to fight a war. Not our own. This isn't World War II. No. This is a whole different thing. This isn't even the Vietnam War or conflict, as they designated it. Pray. Pray for America. Pray for the world. Pray for peace. Because, as always, America will pick up the tab when all the dust settles. DirecTV and Dish, there's a good chance you have one or the other, have agreed to combine in a deal that will create the biggest pay TV provider in the U.S. with about 18 million subscribers. Under the terms of the transaction, DirecTV will acquire Dish TV and Sling TV from EchoStar Corp for a nominal consideration of $1 plus the assumption of about $9.75 billion of debt, according to a statement released this morning that confirmed a previous report put out by Bloomberg. Now, the deal is contingent upon Dish's bondholders agreeing to take a haircut on the principal amount of the company's debt of at least a little over $1.5 billion. DirecTV is owned by AT&T and joint venture partner TPG. In connection with Monday's deal, TPG will acquire the 70% stake in DirecTV that it doesn't already hold from AT&T in a $7.6 billion cash transaction. EchoStar shares fell 18% on the news to $23. That was at 10:15 a.m. New York time. AT&T shares were little changed at $21.88. I would think with that kind of an influx in cash, AT&T shares, you might want to look at the options on those. Don't know what they're trading at right now, but there should be some pretty decent upside there if this deal gets past the regulators. As the U.S. stock market itself enters the final trading day of the month, it has defied the typical September trend of weakness. In fact, markets are on track for one of the strongest Septembers in over a decade as they conclude the third quarter. The next big challenge will be the upcoming jobs report, already mentioned, scheduled for release Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Now, they talk about September being a weak month typically, but from my point of view, if you go back and take a look historically, October is really the most challenging month. And that's in my opinion and several of my co-hosts' opinions. So just be careful out there. When it looks like it can't go down, that's usually when it does. All right, let's take a look at Logic 247. Slow start to the week. Last week, we ended up with 48 alerts, of which 21% were stopped out. We're now in week 322. Last week, we were in week 321. Friday morning, we were at 24%, but by the end of the day, that had worked its way down to 21%. Of course, if you're a member or trial member, you have access to all those alerts, plus the ones that come out this week. So now we're in week 322. Over the last 322 weeks, we've issued over 17,900 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a very simple process that we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 7 alerts. At the time Valerie did the recap, 6:30 a.m. Eastern this morning. Still had 3 waiting. Those very well may have resolved themselves by now. So we had 4 actionable alerts, of which 1, or 25%, would have been stopped out, again based on market structure and that simple process that we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the logic alerts, they're not designed for you to just trade so you don't have to learn how to trade. They're designed to help you learn to read a chart, because until you can read a chart, it's going to be very difficult to learn how to trade. Each logic alert has an entry price, an initial target. That's designed to help you get your goal for the day. And you can stop right there, because that's all you need to do is get your goal for the day consistently. And add contracts over time with profits you earn in the market. But some people have an interest in discretionary trading, and so each logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, and then they'll often have 2, 3, 4, 5 or more additional targets, and then a final trade to target. If it's a long alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone above. If it's a short alert, the final trade to target will always be the weekly trading zone below. The weekly trading zones are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Members get them, even trial members get them. Every Monday, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they are published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. And again, over the last 322 weeks, we've issued over 17,900 individual handcrafted alerts. And again, the purpose of the logic alerts are designed to help you understand. So when you're new to trading and you look at a chart, it seems kind of like chaos. There's no rhyme, there's no reason, price goes up, price goes down. There is a rhythm and there is a reason. And that's the whole purpose of the logic alerts, to help you spot those windows of opportunity, to help you understand where the market is most likely to find support. And then every time the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. And in between that support and that resistance is what we call a window of opportunity. Okay? So that is the purpose of the logic alerts, to help you learn to look at a 30-minute chart of any market, futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF, and instinctively know what the next high probability move is. Because you want to trade with the flow of the market. I mean, you can swim upstream if you want to, but that's a difficult task. Nothing wrong with counter trend trading, but whether it's the live training room where you're learning the mechanical model, those are trend trades based upon the time frame that's being traded. Okay. Now the weekly trading zones embrace the broader picture. All alerts, both the logic and the concierge, are based on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose many years ago, and I've stuck with it. It's not broke. Leave it alone. So, learn to use the logic alerts as they're intended. Okay? Pretty soon, you'll be able to read a chart like you've been doing it your whole life. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., as opportunity presents. Futures trade around the clock, and we have traders around the globe. Their day session is our night session, and vice versa. Now, our original alert service, which goes back probably twice as long as the logic alerts, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly after the Globex open each evening. So the new week started. The Monday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I was at my desk ready to go. And all of our members and all of our trial members had every one of these targets. right at the bell. There actually is no bell on Sunday night like the one they ring Monday morning on Wall Street, or every morning on Wall Street. So if you want, you can keep one and ring your own bell. So again, right at the open, all of our members had all of these targets, and our trial members. So now let's go look at where we're at from the big picture. And here we are. S&P 500, Emini futures, the bellwether. From the low, put in April 19th, to the new all-time historic high, put in September 26th. This is where we find ourselves. Now, we talked Friday about the importance of price closing below the step line. We did close below the 62% fib extension, okay? But we closed right at the black step line. But we know that once, and we talked about it all last week, as the step line started angling over, once that step line crosses blue and climbing, we expect price to retrace back to the BBC. The green line, it's called the BBC, stands for bull bear cross. When price gets below the green line, we're bearish and anticipate lower prices. Price gets above the green line, we're bullish and anticipate higher prices. The pullback to the BBC pulls more often than it doesn't. Whether it pulls from below or above, pullback holds more often than not. But eventually it will trade through like it did here. And so we got a leg and a retracement right back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We simply call it the BBC, bull bear cross. Then we got this big leg that spiked this bullish cross that entire week, held as good support there. And then we had a very fast, I want you to take a look at how long it took. Each one of these represents one day, one trading session, and futures trade around the clock. Okay. To go from here, May 1st, July 17th. Oh, wait, we want to get this area right here. So it's going to be like July 10th. Okay, that's how long it took price to climb that high. But from here, this low was put in August 5th, and we got back up into that area by August 19th. That was a really unusual rally. Okay, it takes financial commitment for price to rise, but for price to fall, it does not take financial commitment. All institutional traders have to do is hit pause on the buy side, and price just naturally deteriorates. Now, when the institutions that specialize in short selling realize that the buyers have hit the pause button, then they'll come in and they'll do this. Price typically falls faster than it rises, again, because no financial commitments required. And then went through this very unusual sideways pattern for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. Finally broke down. And based on the new all-time historic high, see, at the time this happened, this was not the 50% fib retracement. So you got your retracements over here, your extensions over here. Okay. So it wasn't until this new high came in that this became the 50% fib retracement from the low to the high. And look at that. There's such incredible geometry built into the markets. And the more you learn how to read the chart, the more amazing it becomes over time. So this is today Monday, this is Friday, this is Thursday, where we put in the last all-time historic high at 58.30. Step line has crossed. Got a red candle on Friday. So any weakness today, just waiting to see price close below that black step line. Then it's got these two lows right here, but they're basically right at the 50% fib extension. So that could be support for a bounce. Now, if it takes a couple days to get there, then the BBC may rise, and then we would have potentially support times 2. Because when price drops to the BBC, we expect it to hold because it holds more often than not. Now, again, we know eventually it will trade through. But especially on the first pullback after a bullish cross, that's when the blue line gets above the green line. First pullback almost always holds and gives a pretty nice bounce. Then we have to look at what's below. We've got the 38, we've got this bullish cross. When we have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. Same is true of a bearish cross. That's when the red line gets below the green line. First time price revisits that area, almost always good resistance. Over and over, again and again. So if we close back above the 62 today, blue and climbing has now gotten directly above price, so that becomes resistance. And then, of course, we've got the resistance, the high of Friday, and then the all-time historic high. The 100% fib extension is up here. Now, retracements in an uptrend. You draw from the low to the high. The fib extensions take the most recent significant low to the high, to the retracement low, and using the same 14th century math, just in a different way, it projects into the future where price is likely to find resistance. And as you can see, we've hit the 62 once, twice. We spiked it here when we put in that new high, but the next day we got held up. We closed just at the 62. And right now, we're sort of pinched. We're sitting on top of the step line, but the 62 is right overhead. Now, purpose of a daily chart. Institutional traders, the ones with accounts in the hundreds of millions, billions, and trillions of dollars who trade in tremendous size, they're the ones that actually move price. So if you'll make it part of your daily routine, no matter whether you trade futures or stocks or crypto or Forex or ETFs, spend 2 minutes with the daily chart. Okay. Now, some days the chart won't give you a lot of information. Some days it'll give you tremendous information. Okay. Right now, we've got a market looking for direction. But we know there's a great degree of probability, high probability, certainty, that before price takes out that all-time historic high, price will reach the BBC. Now, does that have to happen? No, you have to embrace all possibilities. But over many years of experience, we know that that's the greatest probability. So keep your longs on a short leash, because price, got a feeling by the close of today. See, we're dropping a little bit there. We've already been below the step line. We've traded as low today as 74.25. And looks like the step line setting at 57.91-ish. Okay. But again, no matter what you trade, 2 minutes. Not only can you look over the shoulder of the institutional traders that move price for free, but you can identify where these major areas of support and resistance are, like I just did. Because once you drop to your smaller time frames, a lot of this will not be visible. As I said, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. I'm going to refresh this chart. There you go. We had a gap in there that shouldn't have been there. All right. This was the opening candle last night. These are last week's weekly trading zones. All alerts that go out on Sunday night are based off last week's weekly trading zones, because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Any alert that goes out after 6:15 Monday morning, those are based on the new zone. So on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on the chart. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. So we opened here last night. We traded down, almost hit the short target. Now remember, when this candle opened here, our members and trial members already had these targets. We dropped to a low of 57.79, so 4 ticks. We missed the short target by 4 ticks. When the market finds support, it will go look for resistance. When price moves up to the BBC, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price moves up to the zone, same thing. Okay, so we got a leg, got a retracement, got a leg, right back to the zone and the BBC, and then a leg and a retracement. Now again, these are last week's zones, but still doing their job. And then we finally worked our way down here, red and falling, and there we hit the short target, and there we hit the zone to the tick. The zone 74/75, and the low was 74.25. So right between 74.75. Support will send the market looking for resistance, which you found at the zone, and it's quietly consolidating. All right, Michael's here, so he'll give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning, and then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform. Then I'll come back, I'll finish that recap and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
All right.
Looks good.
All right. Wow. I just drove around my neighborhood a little bit. Well, not my neighborhood, but my town. And some of the roads that were blocked are now unblocked. You should see the trees. You should see the trees that fell over there.
Wow.
Off. It's two of them, 2 huge trees landed right on top of houses. And that road is still closed. It's a road that I used to take to go see Phil.
Yeah, we just read a news article. The roads in and out of Asheville, I guess, are blocked.
Yeah, they shut them right down.
They're trapped.
They're destroyed. The people out there. That's why the helicopters going in and out of our airport right here in town right now.
Yeah, they said
up.
that in the article too, that a lot of helicopter rescues and deliveries of supplies. So the fact that your house is built on the rock and still standing, that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we have power and water and everything else around us. It's a mess. I'm blessed.
Amen.
I'm lucky.
That is good. All right. Looks good.
All right. Here we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 30th day of September. It is the last day of September, right? Yes, it is indeed. The last day of September. So this is how we're going to end the month. Hey, I didn't end the month on a bang, but I didn't end it on a down day either, so it was good. But anyway, let's get into it. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on this purple button right here. Now, there's no credit card required for the trial. Click on the purple button. It is going to bring you to this page. Not that one. This page right here. Now, on this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. There are 5 multiple choice questions down at the bottom. If you have NinjaTrader, give us your machine ID. If you have TradingView, give us your login ID. If you have both, give us both. We don't use the NinjaTrader charts all that much anymore, but if you trade with NinjaTrader, that's great. You can still trade with them, and we just chart with TradingView primarily. If you don't have TradingView, I want to encourage you to get TradingView. You can get it for free for a month. You will have to pay for data. If you're going to trade futures, you have to pay $7 for data, but for real-time data anyway. To do that, you can go here to our webpage, mytradingiq.com, click on trading platforms, and watch this video right here about TradingView. It's a 3-minute video, shows you how to get the charts. Click on this link right here to bring you to the page where you download the charts. The essential version is all that you need. You can do it with the free version, but you don't have custom time frames with the free version, and you don't get real-time data with the free version. You don't get real-time data with any of it, but it's more expensive to get real-time data with the free version. You end up paying for it either way. So you might as well get the charts for $15, or actually get them for free for 30 days. When they do start billing you, it's $15, and then the data is only $7. Now, the alternative is to pay $30 for the data and get the charts for free. So you can see, obviously, the decision that should be made there. Anyway, the spreadsheet, I didn't realize I would have probably maybe slowed a little down on the lesson plan and tried to get a little more profit if I would have realized that today was the last day of the month. But anyway, it is our best month of the year. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 30th day of September 2024. We made 29 ticks in the NQ. We lost 13 in the Russell. We lost 19 in the YM. And we made 27 on the ES. Put us at 322.5 on the morning session. Today it took 4 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,215. That is with 9 contracts on. That's gross with 9 contracts on. This number, 1 contract. This number, 9 contracts. We took a total of 15 trades this morning. So on the month, we're going to end the month of September with $16,337 with 1 contract. All right, let me just check and see who's in here right now, and see. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody understands that is with 1 contract. Over 20 business days, averaging $816 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we are at $86,137. That's over 183 business days, averaging $470 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day and you were to add 1 contract per month, so far this year, tomorrow will be at 10 contracts again. But so far this year, you'd be at 9 contracts, and you would have only had to trade for 50.81 hours, and you would have averaged $2,668 per hour. Okay, $2,668 per hour. Not bad if you can get it. All right, let's get into everything that we did. Now, on the YM, we had trades on every market today. We didn't have a ton of trades, but we did have trades on every market. The YM, I think, let's put a stop out on the YM and the Russell. Our last trades were stop outs. But on the YM, see what this was right here, guys? I was showing if you were trading in the off hours on the YM, and you're trading like a 9 range, at that point, there were 3 really nice trades on a 9 range that triggered in there. I was showing that this morning. Right in here. 3 really nice trades on a 9 range that triggered in the early morning hours. And when you go to the 19 range, you end up having no trades right there. It's in the middle of a nice big trend, but there are no trades right there. It's right here. It's in the middle of a nice big trend, but you don't have a single trade to take right there. I believe I am back. Can you hear me right now? Let me bring up the question box. I lost internet there for a few minutes, and I was asking people if they realized that, but apparently nobody was there listening. All right. Well, I'm back. So let me just finish going over what I was going over. Where did I end? Do you guys remember where I ended? Okay, I'm just going to start trading. I'm not where I want to be on the day. So right now, we just missed a trade here on this. See, I have fiber optic as my backup. I normally don't lose 9 range YM. Really? I was gone a while. Wow. No way. I was on the 9 range YM. So you didn't hear me go through all these other markets? Are you kidding me? Because I went through everything. Step by step, trade by trade. All right. Well, I'm not going to go through every trade individually. I'll just... Sorry, everybody. I'm not going to go through every trade individually. I'll just tell you how it happened. Right. On the NQ, we had 5 trades. We had a plus 12, a minus 48, a plus 48, and then a plus 5. That got us to 29. We had a break even in there too. On the YM, we had a break even, a plus 4, and a minus 25. They got us to minus 19. On the ES, we had a plus 6, a plus 4, a plus 4, and a plus 13. That got us to 27. And on the Russell, we had a plus 12, a break even, and a minus 25. Got us to minus 13. That's how we ended up with the morning session. Okay, we just about have a trade here on the NQ right now for the down close on the NQ. Remember this box, right? Tells you where your order needs to be, 91.50. So I don't have to do the math. And that's the only trade we have setting up right now. The band is flat over here. Over here, it's kind of a little bit of a mess. Gotta move that box out of there because it makes you think that you shouldn't be trading in there. I just got that in queue. Guys, did you see that in queue? I had the order waiting there and it went in, it grabbed me and just slipped me all the way down to my target. Let me see what we got on that. That is pretty crazy. Hang on. Let me go see. Did you guys put that on with me? Did I say it out loud? I think I said it out loud. Didn't I say it out loud? Let me see what we actually got on that. I feel like I got positive slippage on that. I didn't. Crap. All right, let me show you what I got. All right. Here. This is what I got. On the NQ. I was looking for the down close on that. I did say it out loud. Because I put the thing on it and I said, look, it did the math for me. I didn't even have to do the math. And I put it on at 91.50. It filled me at 91.50 and it slipped all the way down to here. To 76. Somehow it filled me up at 79.50 on the way down. That was a really fast trade. Let me see what the actual time was on that trade. It actually took, it says it did it in the same second. Here, I'll show you that. It filled me and it hit my target in the same second. 13/11/29/126. 13/11/29/126 in the same second. If it 13/11/42/948/43/401. It was like a half a second it took. Half a second it took to get that money. That's pretty good stuff right there. That is probably the fastest $1,600 I've ever made in half a second. That was pretty awesome, wasn't it? Jill? $2,160. That's what it was. All right. Well, anyway, that is good. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that got it. Jill just said her husband got it. Dan got that trade too. He said the same thing. And Q grabbed us right in that gap, filled us all up. That means somebody put a big order on right there. You know, to fill every open order from here down to here. You know, there's a reason somebody did that. What's that hourly rate of return? Yeah, I don't know. We can go figure it out. There's another trade here right now, guys. It stops at break even on that. We can go figure it out. Let's see. If there's a half a second. So there's 120 half a seconds in a minute, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So that's 7,200 times, what is it, 2160? 2160 times 2160. It's $15,552 an hour. Something like that. If you could make $2,160 every half a second. Is that right? Be 2160 times 120. That's a minute times 60. Yeah, that's right. If only we could do that, like, 5 minutes a day, every day. Once a day, every day. It's good. But spend that half a second. That's one of those things. No, you've all heard that thing about if Bill Gates dropped $100, is it worth his time to pick it up? Maybe is it worth his time to even think about picking it up? Because that half a second he thought about picking it up. Anyway, let's get back into the trading. Here we go. We'll have some more fun. So, yes, the NQ gap there, Joe. I am sorry that I got knocked off. Dwayne's usually in the background. He usually is able to pick up on that, but he must be on the phone or something like that, because I texted him through Telegram to see if I was knocked off or not. And he didn't respond to my Telegram either, so he's away from his computer, I'm guessing. But it's all good. It is now 117. This last one did not put in a lower swing, so there's not going to be anything from here. The ES could have a trade here if it pulls back up. Look, they all gapped down right there. Well, they didn't all gap, but did they all gap? No, they didn't all gap. Just the ES and Q gapped. There was a big gap on the ES too. It wasn't a trade setup. It's got a trade setup now, but didn't have one a few minutes ago. It's filled the gap, which is good. And now on the ES, what you would do on the ES is this. You have your high right here, 89.75. So you'd be selling 87.75, just like that. Just like that. Okay. And now it's going to be 90 down to 88. 90 and a quarter down to 88 and a quarter. I'm just going 2 points off the top of the bar. 2 points off the top of the bar. It's funny because I almost gave up on trying to get back in here. But then I remembered I still have the fiber optic backup. I almost never need to use it. I don't know what the speed test is like on this right now. Because this is, it's fiber optic, but it's got their router, which kind of sucks compared to mine. But let's see. So this is what my speed test was this morning with my normal T-Mobile. And this is what the speed test is with fiber optic with their router. Let's see. It still says it's on T-Mobile. That's not right. I'm not on T-Mobile anymore. I just connected T-Mobile. Yeah, that's the T-Mobile one. Oh, hang on. See, obviously it's not as good, but let me just see what I am. We're still in the right place here with the order, right? Yes, we are. Hold it, guys. Yeah, I am on 5 cats. It's this one. That is not the T-Mobile. Where is it? I don't think so. No, it's not. Let me refresh this. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. MetroNet. This is the MetroNet. That's my fiber optic one. MetroNet. Let's see what that comes up with. Still waiting for the yes to trigger a trade here. All right, so here's the MetroNet. That's my fiber optic backup. But this is using their router. Now coming into the house where it's directly connected on my laptop, it's way better than that. Like 10, 20 times better than that. But that's pretty good. It's good enough. So we're still waiting here. We have nothing here and nothing here. 90-50, 90-50. All right, now 90-75. The ribbon's starting to crunch up in here now. If this bar closes up, it's not going to be a trade. It's still got a chance. 91.50 down to 89.50 now. Still got a chance for a trade, but it's not there right now. If we get an up close, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, it probably is, Jill. It's probably just one big block that they want to put on at the same time. But I did notice the same thing. All right. Well, it's 1:23, guys. We have 7 minutes left here. James B, you're all set now, right? I got you fixed up this morning. David L, I haven't seen you in here in a while. You realize what the trade setups are and all that stuff, right, David L? All you're looking for is ribbon to be spread, commodity overbought, oversold, and you can see all 4 lines in the ribbon. That's it. The spreadsheet, I didn't get to finish going over the spreadsheet earlier because I got knocked out, but we ended up with plus 29 on the NQ, minus 13 on the Russell, minus 19 on the YM, and plus 27 on the ES. Put us at 322.5 on the morning session. Today, it took 4 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,215 with 9 contracts on. And we took a total of 15 trades this morning. So we're going to end the month of September with $16,337. Our best month of the year, $16,337. As with one contract, I'm trading 9 right now, but tomorrow we're gonna bump up to 10 tomorrow. All right, and so on the year now we're at $86,137 with one contract, averaging $470.70 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Still don't have the trade here on this. 91.50 down to 89.50. My order's just waiting right here on the ES. Okay, and we don't have anything here on the NQ. Now this right here is what I showed you earlier. When I put that on there, I said I don't even have to do the math when I put that on there. Remember, I said that. 91.50 is where I had my order waiting, and that's where I got my fill. Now, my whole screen just went blank. Did it go blank on you guys too? Well, let me go and look at that. Hang on, David. Let's go and look at that. Okay, here is, let me look at the NQ. The NQ on a 31 range. Okay, so it doesn't show the gap in here, right? That gap that we just got. Now, the thing about TradingView, it's gaps sometimes happen in TradingView because of the way that the bars are created, the way the range bars are created. They create the range bars off of 1 minute data. Okay. But what happened there was actual price stuff. I mean, it doesn't show a gap there. It probably doesn't show one on NinjaTrader either. If you guys have Ninja, it probably doesn't show a gap there for you guys, does it? But sometimes we get gaps in TradingView because of the way that they create the range bars. Like if we go here and we put this on a 1 minute chart, what time is that? That is at 13:10.
Yeah, I just saw your message.
There's no gap in here.
How long were you without internet?
Quite a while, I guess. From the start, from when I started, I got into the YM and I finished everything else. And so probably 10 minutes, maybe more than that.
Oh wow. Sorry.
That's all right. They hung around.
I had my headset off. Okay.
Well, they hung around. I covered for you. I said you were probably on the phone somewhere and you didn't have access to anything because I messaged you and everything, and so I said you were away. That's okay. My charts were still up, I think, but they just weren't running. They were probably just solid charts, and nobody could hear anything. So everybody logged off and logged back on, thinking it was them. And I went to my backup internet. So I got everything going again. It's all good. So we finally get the fill here on the yes. What we anticipate is that price is going to get down below the prior swing low. Now the charts are saying it's going to get down to right here at 87. The stop goes to break even after 4 ticks in profit. Now the charts are saying it's going to get down here at 86.25. Stop to break even now. And then we'll lock in 4, and now we're out with 4. But yes, David L., I was explaining, see even here with the TradingView charts on the 1 minute, they don't show the gap. So that gap sometimes occurs when it was this gap right here. It was this bar right here. But that gap sometimes occurs with the range bars because they create the range bars from 1 minute bar data. But that was still a big move right here. It just doesn't show it as a gap with these bars. The same, it was a real move. It just shows it as a gap with the range bars and doesn't show it as a gap with the other bars. Because I'm not the only one who got that within a second. Within a second trade there.
If you refresh it, does it fill in?
The gap? Well, here.
I had a gap on the 30-minute chart And I just refreshed it and it filled in.
Yeah.
I just put it to another time. And then
Yeah, it didn't.
back.
I just switched from 31 range down to
So it didn't.
1 minute. Back
Okay.
to nope. It's a trading view chart. With DT Pro and with Ninja, you don't have a gap here, but it's just trading view. That's why we don't. Trading view doesn't update in real time, because these bars are being created from 1 minute data. They're not being created from actual range bar data. Okay, I mean, they work perfectly well almost all the time, but they match up with every other charting platform almost all the time, except for when you get a big move like that, a really fast move like that. Then you see gaps with this, and you don't see gaps with other ones. But it's all good. All right. So the guys that I have meetings with coming up. Oh, I got to get into those meetings right now. Okay. Let me show you guys how to take the free trial. All right. I went over everything with this. I went over this, where we stand on the month, on the year, and all that stuff already. And to take the free trial, let me go over that one more time. If I can get to our website, this is probably why I couldn't get to it before when I kept it running off, because my internet was down. I didn't realize it. All right. So to take the free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. That's going to bring you to this page. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, phone number. There are 5 drop-down boxes. There are multiple choice questions. If you have an Ninja, give us your machine ID. If you have trading, give us your login ID. Click register. When you hit that register button, you will be sent all the information you need to get into the room in the morning, and you'll be able to. Your indicators will be indicating. We will activate your indicators, so you'll be able to see all this. All right. All right, that is it, guys. With that, I'm going to wrap it up and pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, you are ready, I see.
Yep. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 4 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,215.
Good way to start the week.
It was indeed. Thank you.
Okie doke. All right, guys, we'll pick up where we left off. We're still on the ES. And so far, gone from zone down to the zone, back up to the zone. Now we're below the BBC. We got the step line overhead. Balloon climbing is directly above price. So what's going to probably happen? Balloon climbing is going to turn to red and falling. And most likely we're going to get another leg back to the downside, at least to this area here, which is right at the short target on the YM. Now the vertical line separates today. This was Friday, this was Thursday. As the week progresses, all of that'll move out of the way. This was the open last night, the second on the ES. We ran up, we hit the zone, which we expect to be resistance, still proven otherwise, and the BBC. Resistance always sends a market looking for support, balloon climbing, back to resistance, and then we got back below the BBC, and we traded down right here to this low put in early last night. And that low is also that low right there from Friday. That's market structure. Now when the market finds support, it'll go look for resistance. Resistance will send it looking for support, which it found at the target. And then this was the 9:30 opening candle. We went zone to zone. Bounced back up to the BBC. Now we're back below the BBC. We're below that zone from last week. Got red and falling. And so looks like the Dow is going to hit lower as well. At the beginning of the broadcast, when I went over the numbers from around the world, the only one in the red at the time, the only one not in the red was the Dow. Now we got the Dow down 127, NASDAQ down 19, S&P down 5, and the Russell is actually up 5. So, anyway, the open, into resistance, down to support, back to resistance, all the way down to the support at this zone from last week. Support sent us back to resistance at the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. You'll notice price always goes back to the green line. BBC, bull bear cross. Okay. And now, if we take out this low right here, then from 42,470 to 42,450, that's a good window of opportunity, enough to get your goal for the day with some room to run. Russell, here's where we opened last night. This was the opening candle. We got above the BBC. We got above the weekly zone. And then, right there. See that? Right there. 1, 2, 3 30-minute candles. Couldn't get through. Resistance. Always going to send the market looking for support. Back to resistance. Back to support. Back to resistance. Back to support. So we consolidate now this low right here. Remember I said when you have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. See that? Same's true of a bearish cross, just in the opposite direction. So this happened Friday and created this support today. It's bullish and bearish crosses, keep an eye on them because they're very important. Support sent us all the way up to the zone at 2257/58. Again, these are last week's zones because all these alerts went out last night. Zones came out this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on the chart. Price, the step line, see how it's crossed blue and climbing. So what's it's doing? It's on its way to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean, whether it's pulling up from below or dropping from above. How long will it take to get there? Your guess is as good as mine. You could do it in one 30-minute candle. It could find support here at the zone where we found resistance earlier. It could consolidate sideways, and if it does, the BBC will rise to meet price, which is a different dynamic than price dropping to meet the BBC. In Q. Here's the open last night. We ran up to the BBC. We came just shy of the target. Plenty of room to get your goal for the day. And then we had a drop down to the zone. We spiked the zone. Okay. These lows here go way back into last week. And then you see this bullish cross right here. That would have been, let's see, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Last Wednesday, we had a bullish cross. That is that low right there. Pretty much to the tick. That's why I'm telling you, it's really important to keep an eye on those. Whether you have a bullish or bearish cross that leads to an extended move, first time price revisits that area will be either good support or resistance, depending upon if it's a bullish or bearish cross. Now, 70% of the time when price hits a weekly trading zone, you're going to get consolidation. 70% of the time. 20% of the time, you'll get rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. Now, When price slices through a zone like it's not even there on a 30-minute chart, what will typically happen, and this isn't a great example, but it did slice through, it retraced to the zone it sliced through, and then a little bit, but these wicks here are telling you the market's getting ready to head higher. And so we had a slice, retracement to the zone we sliced through. Every one of these candles is touching that zone. Consolidation, and then continue in the direction of the slice. Okay. So we came just a little bit shy of the long target. Got up to 87. We're looking for 93. You only need 5 ticks or 5 points to get your goal for the day. That's 20 ticks. 4 ticks to a point. So then we drop 2 here. And then this support sends us looking for resistance, which sends us back to support. Right at this short target. Right at this low right here. And then we spiked it a little bit. As I said, right down to the bullish cross. See that? Monday, Friday, Thursday. This was Wednesday. Send us back up to resistance. You see this high? Lines right up with this high. Resistance sends us back to support. We had balloon climbing, but it looks like it's going to roll over. As I said, all the markets look kind of heavy. The Russell's the only one showing any green at the moment. But it's gonna head lower too. Now if it trades through the BBC, you got a bullish cross right there. So keep that in mind. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night and we dropped right to the BBC. Support, leg, and a retracement. As you can see, the pullback held. Then another leg up to the long target. And resistance, and that's all the way back to the short target, which is this little double bottom from Friday. Support sends us back to resistance. Resistance has now sent us back to the zone at 6820/25. Keep in mind, all trial members had these targets last night. At the open. Okay. They rarely come out that early. It's usually more like 6:15, 6:30, sometimes 6:45, and sometimes considerably later depending upon what's happening in the markets and in my life. And so where's price now? Sitting on top of a zone. Price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. Gold. This is the opening candle last night. And it made it right up to the bearish cross, the previous bearish cross. It sent us back down to the zone, consolidation. Then we got a leg. Lined right up that high right there. It sends us back to the zone, more consolidation. Then a drop to the target, which was these lows from Friday. And we continued lower to the zone. The zone bounced us up to red and falling. And then if you scroll left, you'll find where the market previously found support in this area. Bounced it to the BBC, consolidating at the zone. Again, 70% of the time, it's what you're going to find. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, a slice. Okay? All right, silver. This was the open last night. Ran right up to the zone and the long target. You only need 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for the day. Resistance sent us down to support. Up to resistance. Back to support. Up to resistance. Down to support. Leg and a retracement. A leg and a retracement. Price always reverts to the mean. Now, price is consolidating at last week's zone, but it's got blue and climbing below it. Okay, so price is pinched. Got resistance here. Got support here. So you want to make sure you let price break free of the resistance, but then right here, you've got more potential resistance. And if we trade below blue and climbing, you've got potential support there. So you need to let price get down to about 31.28. Down to 22, that would be 6 pennies. That would be $300 per contract traded. And on the euro, we open right at the zone, consolidated forever. Red and falling turned to blue and climbing. That sent us up to the target, to the zone. That resistance sent us to the zone below for support. And that zone sent us looking for resistance at that same zone above. Zone, the zone, the zone. This time we dropped 2 zones. And then we dropped a 3rd zone. Hit the short target, found support at the zone. That bounced us back up to the zone resistance, which sent us back down to the zone support. Notice the step line crossed red and falling. Means price is going to most likely retrace to the BBC. Now this will be resistance times 2. When price moves up to a zone, you anticipate resistance. When price moves up to the BBC, you anticipate resistance. Now you go, yeah, but those are last week's zones. Yeah, well, as you can see, important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So yes, there's fresh zones for this week. They came out at 6:15 a.m. this morning. And I'm sure they're doing their job just the way last week's are still doing their job. Now, current zones usually take hold over the market during the Monday session and firmly take sway by the Tuesday session. Now, this week, in the ES in particular, we had 1, 2, 3 zones that were exactly the same as last week. Had 2 in the Russell that were exactly the same. And a couple others scattered through there. That happens sometimes. It's just a function of math. So where's price heading? Up to resistance. Should it manage to get through resistance times 2, remember you got a bearish cross right overhead. Okay? And then if it gets through that, you got the zone. That brings us all the way around back to the daily chart. Right here. Still below the 62. Price is getting below the step line. Remember, we got potential support right at the low of September 24th, the low of September 23rd, and you're at the 50% fib extension. Should be good for a bounce. And just below that, it's the daily VVC. Now, the shallowest possible Fib retracement is the 24% Fib retracement. We've not had a 24% Fib retracement since the new high was put in back on Thursday. This is Thursday, Friday, today. See how it's coming over? That's what we expect. To become a member, go to mytradingiq.com. If you have questions, call 949-42-EMINI or send an email to support@cfrn.net. When you become a passport holder, you'll get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. That means you're trading along in your demo account to qualify to go live and asking every question that pops into your head. Because the strategy, the methodology is very simple. A couple of weeks, you run out of questions. Or you ask a question and realize, oh, I already know the answer to that. And then when you hear the same answer given to you again, then you understand that, okay, this is a mechanical model. All I got to do is learn a few simple rules and kind of put it on autopilot. You don't ever have to become a discretionary trader. Get your goal for the day, put the mouse away. Over time, use profits you earn in the market to increase the number of contracts that you trade. When you start out, you're going to get the 24/20 blueprint. Okay? It's going to help you write your business plan, your trading plan, and it's going to walk you through getting ready to go live. You need to put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal, 10 trades or less. Once you accomplish that, the blueprint will give you the green light to go live with 1 contract. Now, that first contract's funded with your startup capital, the money you funded your account with. Now that you're trading real money, your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, the blueprint will give you the green light to add a second contract. Big difference is you're adding the second contract with profit you earned in the market, not your startup capital. Blueprint will tell you when it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, number 10, all the way up to number 20. If you only add one at a time, only add with profit you earned in the market. If you have the self-discipline to follow those simple rules and the discipline, put your mouse away once you get your goal for the day, then the probability of you blowing up another account becomes quite a challenge, because you'll have to literally break some rules in order for that to happen. But you have to have the discipline to follow the rules. Okay? Now, when you go from demo to live, sometimes your nerves get the best of you. It's no walk of shame to go back into your demo account. Book a mentoring session. Figure out what went wrong. Okay? And then you're back into your live account again. Now, let's say you're already up to 5 contracts when you hit that rough patch. When you go back to your live account, it doesn't mean you have to start at 1 contract again. You can pick up right where you left off. But it's important to stop putting real money at risk until you figure out what created that bump in the road. Was it simply market conditions, which you have no control over? Or was it something that you changed? Maybe you figured out you came up with a better way to do something, and maybe it wasn't really better. Okay? It could be any number of things. But you book a mentoring session, figure it out, work your way through it, and then you're right back in where you left off. As a passport holder, you not only have 2 hours of live training every day, private one-on-one mentoring, the strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets, all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. Just like I showed you, from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts round the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts every night when they're published, shortly after the Globex Open. You get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you're able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof. One low price. It's a good deal. I checked. All right, good word for the day. Friday, we talked about learning to depend more on God. Today, start saying, I can. Psalm 3:2. Many are they who say of me, there is no help. Maybe you have repeatedly heard the words, you can't, throughout your life. Many people like to tell others what they cannot do. Even people you wouldn't automatically consider to be against you. Teachers, coaches, parents, family members, friends, leaders of church groups or social events, who often fail to realize the power of their words over young lives. Many of us grew up thinking, I can't, when that wasn't true at all. No matter how often you have heard someone say, you can't, stand on God's word and say, yes, I can. Miracles come in cans. Our belief that we can do everything we need to do through Christ, who is our strength. Philippians 4:13. God believes in you, and now is the time for you to believe in yourself. This is a new day. Put the past and all its disheartening remarks behind you. Words that speak of failure come from the enemy, not God. So determine right now not to allow the power of you can't to affect you any longer. In contrast to the enemy, God's Spirit encourages you and will do everything to urge you forward towards success in all areas of life. Facing the challenges of the promised land, God told Joshua 3 times, be strong and of good courage. Joshua 1:9. Always remember that if you feel discouraged, it's from the enemy. And that if you feel encouraged, that's from God. Decide to agree with God and say to yourself, I can. Today, let the power of God's word dominate the power of every negative word that has ever been spoken to you or about you. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.